The FBI now encourages the use of encryption, and an iCloud debate. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by Notion. Work faster, write better, think bigger with Notion. Learn more at notion.com/MacVoices. Well, one thing we haven't gotten to tonight that I thought about having this be the headline, and I thought, no, because we'll just destroy the entire show with it. This is the story about the FBI is encouraging you to use encryption because of the Salt Typhoon hackers, and the Chinese hacking of the communication systems. How many times did we talk about the FBI's position on encryption and wanting a backdoor, and why can't Apple give it to us? And now they're encouraging us to use encryption. I mean, so should encryption only be used by the good guys, but should the FBI saying, "Oh, you crooks, don't bother to use encryption"? Somebody say something. I mean, come on.
I think the door can swing both ways. They can ask for a backdoor, and at the same time insist that we protect our devices, particularly from what they think are the bad guys. It might be hypocritical, but they can take two positions that are not consistent. God knows they're essentially politicians, so.
Sounds like government work, you know?
Yeah.
But Marty, I keep coming back to the same thing, and I agree with you that you can do it, but aren't you just looking stupid? I mean, doesn't the definition of encryption at the levels we're talking about, isn't that almost guarantee that, you know, there can be no backdoors?
I don't think people remember stupid. So, you know, they can put a press release out last week that says one thing, and then put a different press release out that's contradictory the next week, and look stupid to us, or look stupid to people who connect those two things. But I think most people don't connect those two things.
Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. Mark, I saw you were waving your hand wildly.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, the FBI is a big organization. Federal government's a big organization. That two different parts of it, say two different contradictory things at different times, shouldn't be surprising. I think the more important point is that they came out and they're recommending using end-to-end encryption. And let's focus on that, and not look in the rear view mirror of all the other stuff that's happened in the past.
I think that's a real fair point, but I can't help but look just a little bit at the irony of this, and how much fire Apple drew over the shooter in California. That the FBI wanted the iPhone unlocked and demanded the iPhone be unlocked, or at least that they would be given a backdoor. So, but you bring up a great point, because if we are going iPhone to Android, those messages are not encrypted. I can't speak to Android, but iPhone to iPhone is encrypted. So we're safe.
That's why you should use some other apps like Signal and WhatsApp. So use other apps. If you need to have secure encrypted communication, with people who carry Android devices.
Yeah. Does anybody know Android to Android? Is that encrypted?
It's encrypted.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ken Ray had a story about this, I think last Thursday or Friday, and he in his dry humor way, he made some got some laughs out of it, but he did point out that Android to Android is encrypted, iPhone to iPhone is encrypted, Android to iPhone, iPhone to Android, that's not where it's encrypted, and that's where you need to use, one of these encrypted end-to-end third-party apps.
But that means then you have to get everybody else that you want to communicate securely with on that same app.
Well,
Because just
yes, that's true. And that sounds, that sounds like a big burden. But if you're really thinking about, other than just general principle, I want my stuff to be encrypted so nobody can see it, versus if you're going to do something that's mission critical, like, you want to assassinate or firebomb or, steal something, you probably have a heightened sense of security and be looking to use secure, encrypted communication channels anyway. Or maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I can tell you, I got a call from someone when the story broke, and they were asking me, oh my God, my stuff is not going to be safe, because I'm using my iPhone to communicate with other people that are on Android, and it's like, well, okay, first of all,
Yeah.
you're not a journalist, you're not a government employee, you're not a dissident, so I don't think if you're sharing credit card numbers, I'd be a little concerned. But other than that, I'm not sure it's a huge concern for the moment, but it is something to be aware of.
Right. And again, it's other thing. And this is, so the whole reason for this is, if you ever get called into court and you have discovery, all the dirty jokes or racy pictures or, bad political puns and humor that you send back and forth, if that gets captured in discovery, that can make you look really bad. So again, that's some of the reason for using secure end-to-end encryption for more than just hey honey, buy 2 dozen eggs is on your way home.
Yeah, I mean, think back in the earlier days of social media when people were, they were distressed over people leaving Facebook, because that's the way they communicated. And so if the people were on Facebook, they couldn't communicate with them. And you'd say, oh, well, use WhatsApp or use Signal or use some of those as a replacement for Facebook. Let's take the iPhone and Android part out. And people were pushing back and saying, I don't want to use a chat app. I don't know this chat app. I don't like the chat app, and I'm off Facebook. So you're right, Mark. If you have a genuine need for security, people are going to do it because they care. But the casual users, they just need to be warned, that yes, again, you may not be a target, but it's possible that somebody could be seeing what you're sending. I love the fact that in the chat.
But that's in this case, and there's been this big hullabaloo of green bubbles and blue bubbles and so on and so forth. So I think at some level people are aware of the systems that their correspondents are using when they send things to them. Maybe they don't make an active connection of, oh well, if I have green and blue, they're this text communication is not secure, but maybe they should.
Yeah,
green and blue is trouble, or potential trouble.
Yeah, maybe we should introduce red bubbles to the crossover. I love the fact that in the chat room, Cletus is very kindly trying to talk Webb into buying at least one Vision Pro. And he's giving Webb some good reasons that if you're in the chat room, you can see it. And if not, I'm just going to leave it alone. So keep it up, Cletus. No, no, he's not. Webb's off camera, but he's commenting.
Yeah. Damn lawyers.
Today's edition of MacVoices is supported by Notion. Work faster, write better, think bigger with Notion. Learn more at notion.com/MacVoices. When it comes to productivity tools, you have more choices than ever before. So how do you select? Start by boiling down some key features. Features like everything being in one place to avoid time-consuming jumping from app to app. Features like built-in AI to help you brainstorm and polish your work. And a feature set that has been proven in the productivity battle you face every single day. You need to put Notion at the top of your list. Notion combines your notes, docs, and projects into one space that's simple and beautifully designed. The fully integrated Notion AI helps you work faster, write better, and think bigger, doing tasks that normally take you hours in just seconds. But those are just a few of the things that Notion can do. Automate tedious tasks, summarize meeting notes or lengthy documents, and organize your research and ideas, as well as a lot more. And Notion isn't just for you. Deploy and connect your teams using Notion and get even more done. Try Notion for free when you go to notion.com/MacVoices. That's all lowercase letters, notion.com/MacVoices, to try the powerful, easy-to-use Notion AI today. And when you use my link, you're supporting MacVoices. Notion.com/MacVoices. Thanks to Notion for their support of MacVoices. So, one for the good guys, Apple got an iCloud lawsuit over the 5 gig free tier thrown out, which is sort of nice because some of the allegations seemed a little bit silly, even if you are not a fan of the 5 gig free plan. So I don't know anybody. Yeah, I don't know if anybody wants to comment on that one, but I thought, okay, we talk about all the bad ones. Maybe we got a good one here. Anybody feel strongly about this?
I think it's good it got tossed out.
Yeah, I mean, lawsuit.
I mean, if you can bitch and moan about Apple's prices, there are alternatives for cloud storage. But to say file a suit and make all sorts of allegations that would seem to imply that Tim Cook and Eddie Q are out there scheming of how can we force people and screw them into upgrading. I've gone for years before I outgrew the 5 gigabyte plan and started paying for it. So it's not as forceful and intrusive and arm breaking and extortionist as that lawsuit seems to imply.
Yeah, it gives me hope that maybe there's some reasonable judges around that maybe enough of these will get tossed that it might make a difference, but maybe not. Eric?
I just appreciate that even with that minimal plan, if you're trying to transfer from one device to the other, Apple will let you take extra space to finish backing up your device to wipe it to be able to go transfer all your data.
Yes, I did that. That's a good point. Because my our shared 200 gig plan is not enough, to transfer, from phone to phone. So, that temporary space boost is it's good. I mean, and that's absolutely in Apple's interest. It stores for 30 days and it helps you get from iPhone to iPhone, iPad to iPad, blah 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 blah. So that's totally beneficent for both parties. And again, cloud storage, it's not free. It's not as free as the 6 or 8 cents a gigabyte, for buying a hard bare drive, because it has to go in server racks and you have power and cooling, and you need to have server CPU and so on and so on and so on. So cloud storage prices have a much bigger cost than just buying the bare disk drive. And if you're that cheap, buy the bare disk drive and manage it yourself.
Yes, I agree. Question though for Mark, you sound like you've just done it. So if I back up my iPhone to an expanded cloud, iCloud, with the intention of transferring it over, how long does that data live in the cloud before it's deleted?
I believe it's 30 days.
So they give you an expanded location or expanded capacity for 30 days for no charge.
Okay, so I did not probe to see if I could see it, on my iCloud account. I suspect what it does is, it uses your Apple ID and it uploads everything. So it has temporary storage and it's probably tagged appropriately that, okay, this is, this is Mark's old iPhone. So we're uploading everything. You get a new iPhone and you're in the store and it starts to download everything. And it seems that it gets the most important things downloaded first in terms of contacts, passwords, text messages, emails and things. And then they get to a point where, oh, you've got, this many of tens of gigabytes. You're welcome to stay here, but it's going to take a while. Or, if you leave, when you next connect to Wi-Fi, it will continue downloading. And that's what I did. So again, I think it's, maybe to try to describe it, in a letter to someone's mom, they create a special storage bucket where you can upload everything from your phone. And then when you upgrade the phone, it downloads it, from that bucket. And you need to do it in 30 days, which is not a problem for most people if they have decent Wi-Fi. And then at the end of the 30 days, Apple deletes everything and just returns it to the storage pool for the next upgrader.
Yeah. Dave, you threw a support article in our chat.
Yeah, it actually says how much time do you have to restore your temporary data is 21 days. So then you can, if you have to request additional time, it's all based on when you buy a new iPhone. So once the iPhone is purchased, then you can then create the temporary backup of your current iPhone at that point. And then once the iPhone arrives, they're banking on the time that you take to restore it onto the new iPhone. You can request additional time, but you have to contact Apple support in order to get that. It says what happens to your temporary iCloud storage after you restore it. After you restore it, the backup will be available for another 7 days before it's finally deleted.
So that's a pretty good amount of time, because if you've taken 21 days to go through the process and something else goes wrong, then the fact that you have another 7 days, I mean, somebody was really thinking about this, and that seems more than enough, because at that point you should be looking for some serious help if you haven't.
And then we know what our problems are with people. It's photos and messages. Both of those are the two culprits of stacking up cloud storage.
And I must say, last time, I'm upgrading from iPhone 12, so it's for phone generations, and upgrading to that one, there were some kinks and mental speed bumps in the road to get the upgrade. This thing was very, very smooth. In fact, funnily, and if anyone is Apple listening to this, is when you're starting to do the transfer in the store, it starts to say, oh, estimated transfer time. It starts at 2 minutes, and then goes 3 minutes, and then 4 minutes, and then 5 minutes, and 6 minutes, and then the Apple Genius or whatever they're called in their store comes by, and I asked him about this, and he says, oh, don't worry about it. The thing you need to do is, if that blue line is moving to the right, it's downloading. The only thing we guarantee is the thing that's absolutely wrong is its estimate. So I'm thinking, WTF? You notice that's a nice, clean, don't need to get an L tag, but WTF, Apple.
Thank you, Mark.
If all your retail store employees know that it's wrong, what the hell are your geniuses in development doing? That's I mean, that is just stupid or unimportant. But I can imagine this is something that in days of old with Steve Jobs, he would. He would call somebody up, at 2:30 a.m. Every night until they got this problem fixed. So again, it's this is, to me, this is the new Apple. They make really great products, but they have all sorts of really experiences along the way. And it's stupid stuff that causes the the frustrating experiences.
I would say I will say one thing in defense of that. That seems to be the nature of moving data around. I don't know if it has to do with read-write speeds and the amount of data. I'm not in the weeds enough to understand, but I have yet to see anything that gives me Apple or not, that gives me an accurate representation of how long it's going to take. Because it can be 40 minutes, and then it'll say 5 hours, and then 20 minutes later it's down to 10 minutes. And so I don't know I don't know what the answer is there, Mark. It is frustrating. On the other hand, I think I said this on the show a week or two ago. Brian and I both did. I got a new washer. It gives me an estimated time it gives me a time for when it's supposed to be finished. So I set an alarm on my watch, and I go back, and it's still got 20 minutes to go. I don't know what's happening or what has done it, but it's borderline useless. So I'm trying to figure out a way to get notified when the darn thing actually finishes. So I don't know what it is about timing certain things that is so difficult, but it must be. It must be.
I would point out, I would disagree. I think it's just carelessness and bad engineering, because there's a lot of well-established technology, to help, figure some of these things out. And, if you look, for anyone out there who uses, the transmission BitTorrent client, it constantly updates, its expected completion time based on, how much is coming in. So yes, reading and transferring data, it's stochastic, things change, but, you can tell, you can write an app that can tell I'm transferring 100 megabytes. How much have I received? How much have I received? This past pick a period, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and you can compute and you can update and make a prediction. That you do a lousy job of it, is just a sign of my humble opinion, it's just a sign of just bad engineering. Fire those guys and get smarter people.
Yeah. Eric, I'll let you get the last word on this, and then we'll move on.
I think the engineers just are always working at really good networks. I find it takes somewhere around 8 to 15 minutes to get a reasonable estimate. If you're working on it at an Apple store on a day when a new device comes out, no estimates are correct because their network has no bandwidth left in it. If the initial piece
in which
of data,
case, then your iPhone, the app should say it's going to take 33 days instead of telling you, 40 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, from what I can tell, the first estimate comes off of how long does it take to get the first piece of data, and it'll be a really high estimate if the network is slow to respond. It'll be a really low estimate if the first piece of data comes back right away. But if it comes back right away because it's locally cached, it throws the numbers way off. Yeah, you can say that.
And Eric, that's just bad engineering. You can monitor how much you need to transfer and how much you've received, and you can update, on a once a second, once 5 to 10, 15, 20, 60 second, some interval. You can update your expectation of how long it's going to take to download. There's all sorts of things in the world of big data. Everyone talks about, Bayesian statistics and things, and that's basically, updating what you think based on new information you get. If they're not doing it and they're doing a bad job, shame on them. They should just, they're just doing a bad job. It's not an overly difficult problem, but it requires careful engineering. And to the extent they don't do it, Tim Cook should fire them, take a card, from Steve Jobs, where people didn't want to see him in the elevator. Oh, you're the guy who can't get the download estimator up. You're fired. I want your replacement, to get this thing right. I just think it's all about mental attitude and what do they want to pay their attention to. And for whatever reason, all the Apple Store people, and when I talked to them on the phone before, they said, plan on 20 to 30 minutes to download your data from the thing. And this is what the Apple genius at Cupertino said: is independent of whatever it says on the screen, it's going to take you 20 20 to 30 minutes. And so again, circling back, this is sort of like, the FBI. You have one part of it, by analogy, you have one part saying it's going to, take this update that you can see on your phone. The other part saying, no, that's all, horse pucky. It's going to take you 20 to 30 minutes. Apple's a big organization, probably bigger than the FBI,
and I think Apple's response to that is
fuck you.
No, submit user feedback with why you need it. I guess for me personally, I want the restore to work and I want the backup to work. And the one experience I don't want is a progress bar to go across and a little piece of paper to fly across the room at a constant rate telling me absolutely nothing.
Eric, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Now, and
moving
again,
it
I would say
better would be good.
To their benefit, the thing did work, and it worked. It worked very, very, very well. Unlike 4 generations ago.
Yeah.
So that does work. But my point is, and to your point, seeing sort of files going apart that tells you nothing. Why have an estimate there if it tells you nothing and it's wrong? Just have the status bar, the blue line, so you can see. Yes, it's slowly moving along. It's moving faster and slower, and it's moving up again. I think that would be more useful than providing just absolute garbage information.
I would agree with that. The only thing I will say is, a couple of days ago, I was trying to download something from a particular service I use. It was one of the videos here, and it just seemed like nothing was happening. Nothing was happening. And so I opened up the download progress bar or information on Safari, and it showed me that yes, it was still active. It was happening, but it was happening in kilobytes.
How big was this thing you were downloading?
Like 4 megs.
4 megabytes? That's tiny.
Yeah. Well, it's tiny. It's tiny. You think it's tiny until it starts to just do 1 and 2 kilobytes per second. And then it takes a while. And so, what I liked about it was at least, pardon me, at least I could see that something was happening. Because if I was going by visual indication, it looked like nothing was happening. And I would have probably restarted the download. As it was, I just had to walk away and let it do its thing. And it finally got here. And I did talk to the service, and they were having some issues of saturated bandwidth for reasons that are not relevant here. But bottom line is, it was a legitimate issue, but I still had the download going. So
but I feel, think to your point. But again, I think you said that you opened up the app and you could see and understand what the progress is. It wasn't as fast as you wanted, but you could see stuff was happening, and you just knew to chill out and go watch a movie or something.
And that's where I think sometimes the estimates, the number estimates, frustrate us more. But I mean, at least I knew how to look at it, and I knew what it meant. And that here we are. Apple designs things for people that are not like us. Hey, Jim Ray made it the whole way back. And as he put in our chat room, see what happens when he doesn't wear a hat. He just drops off the face of the earth.
I had to reboot my entire computer.
You better start wearing the hat, Jim. Yeah. Guys, I think we're going to call it tonight, just because otherwise we're going to take off on some even longer discussions. But thank you. We didn't get through a lot of things tonight, but we got through some important ones and did a little more of a deep dive. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm not sure you convinced me on some things, but you never know. So let's go around the room, let folks know where they can find you, and we'll take it from there. Dave, you're first up. Thank you so much for showing up as always. Where can folks find you?
Find me at InTouchWithIOS, InTouchWithIOS.com, YouTube channel, YouTube.com/InTouchWithIOS. Here on Tuesdays, we're on a little bit of a hiatus on the Mac show until next year, but I will also, you can find me on Blue Sky and Mastodon, both at DaveG65.
Thank you, Dave. Marty Jencius, I wish you the best. I wish your dog the best, and I wish your bank account the best. The best. Where can folks find you?
Two of those three things have got to go, Chuck. It's just inevitable. Either the dog, my bank account, or me, some combination. Tuesday nights here on MacVoices Live. Thursdays with In Touch with iOS, and then Eric and I do our show on Mondays called Vision Profiles, where we preview a lot of the news from the week and talk about good vision profile apps. And then a new one I do on Wednesdays called Old Mac Gang with, and David was on there last week, and we talked about Mac user groups. This week, I think we're going to be talking about Perplexity as an app as a way to troubleshoot. But that's Wednesday nights at 9 p.m.
Great.
9 p.m. Which time zone?
Eastern Standard Time Zone.
So everybody everybody throw in the chat what they want, the two things to go, or the one thing to go in Marty's life. See what happens. Or not.
Yeah. The dog and me just leave the bank account. That's what they'll say.
Eric Bolden, thank you so much for being here and supporting Web Bixby with his T-shirt. Where can folks find you?
Spelled it wrong. Yeah, there you go.
I can be found on Mastodon at EA Bolden at techhub.social. Monday nights with Marty and virtualness and with vision profiles, and Tuesdays here with MacVoices. Otherwise, I'm hiding in the woods with birds trying not to freeze.
Yeah. That's good. Thank you, Eric. Mark Fuccio, are you going to be conducting the services anytime soon at Notre Dame?
No, but back in, in the early 90s or so, we did go in the old cathedral, and this one sort of on the right here, and went down. It started the spiral staircase all the way up, then go over, and then spiral staircase all the way down. So I was really impressed, from some of the press coverage I have seen over this past couple of days, that what used to be sort of it's like 800 years old, or so what was sort of a dim, fading, internal facade has been restored and is really bright and modern, so it can go forward many years. So not going to be there now, but who knows next year? Who knows what might happen for vacation plans? But it's a wonderful structure, and I'm glad it got funded and has been rehabilitated and is open again.
Agreed. Where can folks find you?
Oh, I'm a troglodyte. You can find me at X or Twitter or Zitter, whatever you want to call it, at Mark Fuccio, MarkFuccio, and or similar name on LinkedIn.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Web Bixby, go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
How about them Chiefs? That's right.
That's the way to do it. Where can we folks find you?
At the stadium.
Perfect.
Section 236G is in gold. So you can find me. I'm going to continue my promotion of Blue Sky. So Web Bixby, WEBBIXBY, one word. However you do it on Blue Sky, that's where you want to find me.
Thanks, Web. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Last but not least, our wandering sheep returned just in time to say goodnight. Jim, where can we find you?
Well, if my computer is frozen, you can find me by walking up to my front door and pressing the Ring camera button.
Okay.
And I'll say, go away.
Other than that.
But that way they know you're there.
Not necessarily. Did you not hear the part about Ring?
Oh, clever. Remotely.
Yeah, where can you find me? The internet. Provue.com, PROVUE.com. There's a website. You could go look at the website. Or you can, I know that's like so old school, right? It's like having a checking account or something.
I have a story about that for after dark.
Or you
Don't
can
forget bonus
contact
item.
me on Mastodon, a federated social media service, ProView Jim, ProvueJim at techhub.social.
Thank you, Jim. Perfect. Webb, you reminded me of the bonus item. Is that for After Dark, or should we?
No, it's legitimate, and I
Okay.
hope we don't take long on this. But I saw today that as of today, you can buy your Hyundai on Amazon.
Wow.
Really?
What is it? Amazon.
They announced that a while ago, so now it's live.
Yeah, as of today, I'm looking at it right now. It's I'm trying to see what it is. It just says stores, but if you search for Amazon Hyundai or Amazon Autos was how I found it. So anyway, you can buy your Hyundai. So now if they had a Genesis on here, I may be interested, but
There you go.
which is now right now. If I
So,
bought
Webb,
another
how do
car,
you
my
pay
wife
for
would
it?
kill me. So what now?
How do you pay for it? Can you if you have a credit card with a big enough credit limit, can you do it? Because most car dealers don't want to touch it at all because of credit card protections are more than you get when you go to the dealerships.
It says price when financing.
I believe that all what Amazon's really doing at the end of the day is they're linking you up with the dealer, but it's kind of like as you would purchase any other, a Tesla or a Rivian, you kind of spec it out and find your price, and then they connect you to the dealer and you close the deal that way. That's what I understand.
That's
It's
smart.
probably similar to what Costco does.
They should do that for solar panels, across the country. That would be a big service because there's.
This is really interesting because I'm looking at it. If I just search on Hyundai, I get a lot of options. It tells me in miles approximately how many miles away it is and the dealer. But it doesn't.
What I'm going through. Let's look.
Say the dealer.
And if I click on one, if I say, okay, I want to buy this, then I get a button that says begin purchase. So, I mean, I just clicked on this. I could buy a new 2025 Hyundai Elantra SE. It gives me a price when financing $24,065 or $383.13 a month. And I can hit, I'm not going to begin purchase because I don't want to purchase it and I don't want to start getting calls from the Hyundai dealer. But yeah, this is interesting.
Well, you wonder what's going to happen next. Okay. You don't know
Costco
if
had something like this for quite a while.
Did they? I know that they have some deal where you can purchase a car through them, but anyway, I just thought it was interesting. I heard about it on the way home tonight, listening to that Tech Meme podcast, and I just so we don't need to spend any more time on it. You can buy your car at Amazon now.
No, it's interesting, and you feel like I don't know what's the Carvana experience look like. Does anybody know?
Oh, I bought my car from Carvana.
Can't buy a new car there.
No, I can't buy a new car there. But is it, Dave? Is it similar kind of thing here that you search and then?
Yeah, basically. I mean, you search and then Carvana's a little different model. They wherever you pick if you pick the car. In my case, my car wasn't local to the area, the Chicago area, so they actually shipped it from, I believe it was from California.
Okay. Interesting.
That's a guy by the name of Ernie Garcia, and Ernie Garcia the third, father-son, that is all behind Carvana. They're also behind another used car system called Drive Time. I know this because we talked about doing a business deal that fell through. So I got to meet the senior Mr. Garcia. So
that's a whole other story about Carvana, though. That was
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Interesting.
For another day.
Thank you, Webb. Thank you, Webb. Yeah, I hadn't listened to the Tech Meme Ride Home podcast yet, so I was not aware of this. Very cool. Wait a minute. For a limited time, buy a car and get $2,300 in Amazon gift cards. Terms apply.
There you go.
I am not kidding. That is the
I
banner.
know.
That is the
Yeah.
banner. So, all right. Well, with that, folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices Live. You get riveting content like this every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, right here on youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. We'll see you next week. So until then, and even before, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.